you look, it's how you feel. From subtle, natural aesthetics to personalized wellness care, everything we do is intentional. This is beauty with purpose. At Vibe Men's Health, we take that same approach. We focus on what matters most: strength, energy, and performance. Built on real data, real medicine, and real results, we're here to help you look better, feel stronger, and live fully. Come vibe with us today.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Well, rain has been the story for our Thursday, and rain continues to be the story as we wrap up the week. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor here for Mississippi Live Weather at 10, and we start our broadcast with, of course, talking about those rain chances ahead. Several inches of rain expected, and we're also looking at that potential rotation. Now, tracking the rotation, it was almost too much to put on a graphic because it's so minimal here in North Mississippi, but down south a little bit of a different story. We'll track where that's at here in just a moment, and the latest on the championships. We crowned a new winner, unfortunately not here in North Mississippi, but where that tally stands, we'll take a look at that, as well as some celebration video from our North Mississippi victors. Proud of everyone and proud of their effort this postseason, and I want to keep you guys updated on where things stand down there in Pearl. The first 12, taking a look at that pattern, honestly, it's impressive we've been able to get 3 champions so far because of how active this pattern has been. 80% coverage by 11, 70% by 2, and continuing through the early morning hours, we stick to around 50 to 60% in coverage when we're talking those rain chances. And let me say, so far today, we definitely had an interesting looking sky. I mean, some pictures that you guys have submitted around the area shows a pretty decent shelf cloud on a lot of these storms, and a lot of this actually being submitted through the evening as those storms lifted north through Tupelo, Pontotoc, Ingomar, even out there towards the Itawamba County area, and you just get a good look at that shelf. That right there is what I call a definite SLC. Scary looking cloud, and a large part of that lowering there, not tornadic. There's no spin to it whatsoever. A term that we call scud cloud. It's just a low hanging cloud that looks a little bit scarier than what it is. The heavy downpours right there on the horizon. Jamie was submitting this one looking south there from Dogtown, a definite downpour, and you definitely get some interesting looking scud clouds just hanging down right there on the horizon. So glad that this was scarier looking than what it actually was, and just continue to look at your pictures around the area shows those storms moving on in. A few of those from earlier on this evening. I mean, that right there definitely looking like it has some buoyancy to it with those crisp clouds, but nonetheless, no severe weather. And that was the big part about today. Heading into tomorrow, there is a limited threat for severe weather, but also a limited flash flooding threat. We're on that marginal risk. Not going to be shocked if that is increased to a slight. Whether it's a marginal or a slight, what I want you to know is we're talking several inches of rainfall just in the next 24 hours, and then additional chances beyond that. So it's definitely going to be one that you want to prepare for. But what we're also preparing for is that limited severe weather risk, that level 1 threat along and east of Highway 45, where while it's in place, our potential to get reports, while it is limited, it's even more limited than some spots in that level 1 risk that we'll track here in just a moment. That tornado risk on your Friday, that's why we have that level 1 risk in play. But the reason why it's there is because we do have a few rotating storms at least trying to move into the area. But overall, those rotating storms are going to be more towards our south, and we'll track that out here in just a moment. I first want to go to our Mama Justice Doppler radar, and a reason why we're getting this increase in storm activity is because this stationary front centered all the way from Colorado, all the way into the Atlantic Ocean, that's beginning to lift more towards the north. And with that comes moisture just advecting in from the Gulf. And as we draw this out, you can see that it's increasing those rain chances, just moving straight in. We have a direct source of moisture down there in the Gulf, and where it's behind that front, we continue to get the large part of those rain chances. You can see a little bit more dry north of the front, but as that begins to move towards the north, rain chances do stick around. So have that rain gear. You're going to be getting a lot of rain chances over the next 24 hours and even into your Memorial Day weekend. But I first want to look at storm rotation. Before we go over this, let's go ahead and toss it over to the wall so we can go over this county by county a little bit more specific. So as we look at our storm rotation, what we'll be looking for is that red. You see up there at the top, a term that we call shear. It's that rotation aloft, and where it's more dark, it's limited, but those brighter returns is where we get extreme, and our confidence does increase in a few rotating storms. Let me first say, we're not going to see extreme. We probably won't even see the medium side of this. We're going to be looking at that limited capacity for these rotating storms. Let's first start overnight, and we're going to focus specifically on North Mississippi overnight, because I know a lot of questions in the chat consist of, can we go to sleep? Yes, let me say that first and foremost. But let's track out these storms. As you see overnight, 6 a.m., we're starting to get more of that activity out towards the north and west. We do get some of those limited returns, but this is as a low pressure system is beginning to form, so we're not getting that consistent track and we're not getting those brighter returns. So this is not going to be tornadic. Where you get that spin is actually with that low pressure system forming, and that's what we're going to be getting closer to northeast Arkansas and northwest Mississippi. So no tornadic threat there. We're looking good to go. As we look ahead into the next couple of hours, I'm going to take it on a broader approach because I want you to look at the difference from what we have here in North Mississippi to what we have down south. A large part of that activity going to be way more impressive. You see Monroeville just north of Mobile. We're getting those darker returns showing some limited rotation. But here in North Mississippi, not getting any of that. Honestly, a large part of this remaining below thunderstorm threshold. So I think we just stick with some heavy downpours. But by noontime, there's some storms that try to form and get a little bit interesting. So that's where that non-zero tornado threat comes into play, is if these storms do form at the right spot with the right amount of energy, with the right turning of the winds aloft, then yes, a brief tornado is possible. But there's a lot of things that have to go perfect for it to take place, and that's why we're more of a non-zero chance than a chance than that. Down south, you get those more impressive returns. You get a large part of this being some broad rotating storms. We've seen it tonight with a couple of tornado warnings being issued down in the Jackson area and further towards the Gulf Coast. That's where we expect it to remain tomorrow as well. Into the afternoon, still getting a large part of those rotating storms towards the southeast part of Mississippi, southwest part of Alabama. But as we look towards the afternoon, I wouldn't be shocked at all if a few of these storms do try to get a little bit more interesting during the afternoon hours. One that stands out is down there towards Macon. I think if anything does get interesting, we're talking more Macon, Noxubee County, and even out there towards Pickens County, and that's still that non-zero chance. So it's not a high confidence situation. But as those storms kind of work their way on through, you can see a few that do try to at least bring some rotation into play. I think primarily what we're looking at are some gusty winds as well as heavy rainfall. But that non-zero chance, we've seen it happen in the past. It's just not going to be a ton of reports out of this, and that's why it's a level 1 threat. But again, down south, I think it's a little bit more prominent for these to form. So as we look at storm rotation, that's kind of where things stand with that. And into our Friday, continue to be just our Friday afternoon threat. And then that really clears on out. So models at least trending a little bit calmer into, we're going to advance. We're going to go through the whole weekend at this point. No need to look at that because there's no rotating storms into the weekend. Let's bring it back to our Futurecast model here locally, and let's focus more on the North Mississippi area. So this is our regular view, our regular Futurecast that we can look at, and we're going to tie this to what we just looked at with our rotation tracks. So 2 a.m., still maybe a heftier storm out there towards Greenville and Hollandale, but not seeing any rotation attached to those. This is as that low pressure system develops and we start to get this stationary front transitioning more into a warm front. And that will put us right behind the warm sector, and the warm sector more conducive to not just showers, but even storms into our Friday afternoon. 64 Houston, Bruce, and 65 Eupora and Louisville. We're 68 Belzona and Greenville. Well above our average, but that's what moisture does, is it keeps temperatures pretty consistent throughout the day. So we're 67 by pickup, 80 towards drop-off. And guys, soak in this graphic. Folks at our IMPC are going to transition our school bus graphic to a pool day forecast. So excited to kind of transition that as we enter those summer seasons, but I believe this is the last time we're going to showcase those school day forecasts. So crazy, summer's here, but that's definitely being seen over this past week with that summer-like pattern. So there we get into the morning hours of our Friday. We get this low pressure center to develop, and zooming it out, you can see that warm front right overhead in parts of Tennessee. Now back behind it, since we have this low pressure center, we're getting these bands that begin to develop, and these bands will work their way through the North Mississippi area and into northwest Alabama, and that's where a few of those storms could get on the stronger side. I'm not going to say a strong storm can be ruled out in the grand scheme of things, but it's the rotating storms that we're watching for, and that is very limited with those winds not being as impressive aloft. Even by 1, 2, 3 o'clock, you can see those storms. That one that we just tracked through Macon and Aliceville developing right there again at 3 o'clock. And that's where we could get some rotation, especially if we have limited coverage out ahead of it. I'm curious how that'll develop, but this line getting to develop more and more from Macon all the way down there towards Meridian, and that's where we could get a brief spin-up situation with this line. Into the late afternoon hours, that's where we continue to see those thunderstorms stick around, but by then our threat is diminished completely, and we'll just be dealing with those rain chances from there on out. So I want to say for folks joining us now that may have missed the top of the broadcast, this is not a high tornado event by any means. If we get a tornado, it'll be brief, it'll be weak, and it will not be long-lived. So this is not going to be those high tornado situations that we've tracked in the past. For tomorrow, honestly, confidence is non-zero chance, and that best threat is actually going to be further towards the southern part of the Magnolia State. High temperatures on your Friday, those will be impacted by the rain chances, only going to be in the upper 70s, which is well below our average here in North Mississippi for this time of year, 84 degrees. So the rain actually adding some benefits to our forecast here in North Mississippi. As we keep with our futurecast into those late evening hours on our Friday, rain chance is not going to be as plentiful as what models were showing earlier on. So I think Friday night into Saturday morning, we remain pretty calm. And that's a good thing because I think it's been quite a while since we've seen calm conditions. So Saturday morning pre-dawn, not going to be waking up to any rumbles of thunder. But as we get more towards our morning commute, there we get thunderstorms starting to develop once again from Shelby all the way to Grenada, and that will continue to increase in coverage throughout our Saturday, as we'll see here in just a moment. 64 Bruce, Water Valley, and Oxford. We're 65 Tupelo and Houston, 66 Starkville and Columbus, 68 Belzona and Greenville, and 66 Tunica for the start of our Saturday. So another mild morning expected. The day continues on. Look at the coverage increasing. By 9 a.m., we're already seeing that scattered development going to be out there in the Mississippi Delta. By noontime, that coverage begins to shift east towards Grenada, Bruce, Houston, and Eupora. And then watch during the afternoon hours where these storms just really get going. I mean, we've seen it the past couple of days now, so we're getting the gist of things. The afternoon is just more conducive for more of those showers and storms to not only occur, but form. And so that's what we're getting once again Saturday afternoon. More of that coverage happening and packing a punch once again. I don't think we're talking severe weather, but we will still see some hefty downpours and those amounts amounting to additional several inches of rainfall even by Saturday. So we're seeing several inches Friday in some spots, several inches Saturday in some spots. We can see the same thing towards Sunday. We'll look at those rainfall totals here in just a minute, but it's going to be a rainy one for sure. 83 South Haven and Holly Springs, 85 Bruce and Eupora, 85 Starkville and Columbus, and we're seeing 85 being out there towards Greenville and Belzona. But look at those rainfall totals. So Friday, where those yellows are showing up is 2+ inches. Okay, let's add to that what we're going to get on Saturday. We could see 3 inches in some spots in total. This is, again, the total over this 7-day stretch. Sunday getting closer to about 3 to 4 inches in a lot of locations. We're seeing upwards of 4 to potentially 5 inches out there, Tallahatchie and Panola County. And then as we get towards Tuesday, towards our Wednesday, towards our Thursday, those totals just continue to climb, showing that each and every day over this 7-day stretch, we're expecting some rainfall in some form or fashion, whether that be some stronger storms, whether that be some weaker storms. It's still rainfall at the end of the day. So these amounts are going to be, honestly, I'm just going to say it's going to be crazy by the end of next week when we're tracking these totals in its entirety. So I'm excited to see what that amounts to. I left my rain gauge untouched at the Maynor household. I want to see what this entire stretch builds up to. But so far, we're at 2.5 inches in northern Lee County. And looking at this 3-day stretch heading into our Memorial Day weekend, I don't know if my rain gauge has enough room in the thing. So we'll see how things go, but definitely looking at a soggy pattern ahead. And like I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, we're looking at our baseball forecast coming up in the next 60 seconds, as well as some video of our celebrations and who that latest champion is. I know it's not here in the north half of the state, but it is still a Mississippi team, and we're rooting everyone on. But we'll see who that champion is, as well as where things stand and our matchups for tomorrow, kind of previewing those as well as Mississippi Live weather continues right here in the next 60 seconds.
When C.K. Little opened his doors in downtown Corinth nearly 80 years ago, his plan was simple: deliver excellent service and exceed expectations. That's why we say a little gift goes a long way.
Every legend starts somewhere.
Not with perfection, but with the decision.
The decision to show up, work harder, and believe this place can change everything.
At Northeast, you're more than just a number.
We're built on opportunity, and our students are willing to rise to the occasion.
Here, success isn't handed to you. It's earned.
You don't just leave with a degree, you leave as a legend.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Always love this time of year because we don't have a high school game of the week. We have our high school games of the week because it's state championship action. Last week softball, this week baseball. And as each game has been played, we're starting to narrow down those champions, officially crowning 3 so far in the state of Mississippi and hopefully getting additional ones tomorrow. Now, I will say East Webster, Boonville, and Pontotoc all looking for a bounce back win in their Game 2 matchups. East Webster going to be playing at 1 p.m., 81 degrees at that first pitch and 20% chance of rain chances. Hopefully dodging those showers and storms. Boonville, that coverage does increase, 82 degrees, 77 for that first pitch in Pontotoc at 7 p.m. So Pearl going to be an active day when we're talking weather, but today and yesterday we've had rain delays. So probably adding to that on our Friday, unfortunately. So hopefully all of our teams are good to go, whether you're East Webster, Boonville, or Pontotoc. I know there's crews going down from each team to cheer them on. But we do have champions tonight, and that's the big thing I want to touch on is our first champion here in, not first champion, we'll get to our first champion here in just a moment. Our newest champion from today, that was the Saltillo Tigers. Let's take a look at their, them winning that state title for 6A, and let's listen to the call.
All the boys in blue jersey tops are on the rail down the third baseline, ready to explode if this next pitch finds the zone from Lanston Kent. The 0-2. Got him, called strike 3. A combined no-hitter is how they take home a state crown. It's number 7 in school history for the Saltillo Tigers. 6A champs once again. The moment that they've been waiting for all day long. The championship trophy goes back to Saltillo for the 7th time in school history, and they are your back-to-back 6A state champions.
So proud of our Saltillo Tigers, the 6A champs, and bringing home another state title to North Mississippi. This was in Pearl earlier today, and you can see all of the smiling faces as the boys did their job and brought home that title once again. Super proud of them, and if you do have any pictures from the team that you want to put in the broadcast, make sure to. So we are so proud of our Saltillo Tigers, 6A champs, and bringing home another title here to North Mississippi. Could not be prouder of them, so I hope that they're enjoying it, soaking up every moment of that championship win. I believe it is back-to-back now. Either way, they've won 7 state titles, so this is a thing they do pretty frequently. So if you do have any pictures, we do have posts made on Matt's Facebook page if you want to put those pictures in there. Hopefully getting to feature those more and more throughout the rest of this week, and I appreciate everyone who has done so far. And they weren't the only champion so far. Our first champion actually getting crowned yesterday while they made a stop back home, and folks there in Lee County getting to see them. Let's take a listen to our first state champion here in North Mississippi. And a big thank you to Caitlin Foster for submitting that video to us here at Mississippi Live Weather. Ethan Foster helping, his wife, Caitlin, works over there at Mooreville, so she was getting us some of that video as they came back into town. And they are your 4A state champions, and that is 2, of course, here in the northern half of the Magnolia State. So not just 2 in the northern half, 2 in Lee County. So crazy what baseball can do here in Lee County. So proud of our teams, proud of our victors, and of course hoping that they have a great time celebrating and enjoying the end of that 2026 season. But we have more action heading into tomorrow. Let's take a preview of some of those games, starting with our East Webster matchup happening at 1 p.m. The road to the 2A championship, well, it goes into tomorrow at 1 o'clock. East Webster falling this evening to Mize at 3-0. But you can see both teams, powerhouses in the baseball world, 35-7 for East Webster, 29-8 for Mize. So they're very close teams. And you can see that with the score in Game 1. Game 2 going to be at 1 p.m. on your Friday. So who comes out on top? Well, we'll let you guys know getting into tomorrow. But hopefully it is East Webster. And if they win, then they play Saturday in the championship matchup, and whoever wins that game wins the state title. Let's go ahead and jump over to 3A. The Boonville Blue Devils, of course, my family is Blue Devils, are Blue Devils. At least my wife, she teaches up there, and we're, of course, rooting them on. And they've had a miraculous run, 22-14, and making it all the way to the championship. That's kind of unheard of. And they're facing Presbyterian Christian, who is 30-6. Now, they put up a hard-fought battle, but unfortunately fell 5-0 in Game 1. But Game 2 happening Friday at 4 o'clock. Boonville hoping for a bounce-back game. We believe in them. We would be there if we could. Just have to work because there's a lot of weather going on that day. But hopefully they're able to win and play on Saturday, and excited to see who comes out on top in the 3A matchup. But cheering on the Boonville Blue Devils. Trust me, I'll wear my Blue Devil gear tomorrow for you guys. So hopefully you guys can come away with a victory. We're going to do what we can up here to cheer you guys on. All right, from 3A, let's go to 5A. Pontotoc facing Sumrall. All three of these games that are happening tomorrow were 0-1 in the series. So every team needs to win tomorrow for the North half to have a chance of that state championship. Pontotoc 21-14-1, playing Sumrall at 33-6. Lost Game 1 in a heartbreaker 7-5. But they're hoping to bounce back tomorrow evening in the nightcap at 7 o'clock on your Friday. So should be a great matchup. Pontotoc hoping to take that one and play on Saturday. But at that rate, if East Webster, Boonville, and Pontotoc win, well, we unfortunately don't have that'll be 3 games. We'll also have a 4th game mixed in there as well. Let's see, that would be the 1A matchup, West Union falling as well. So West Union playing Saturday, Pontotoc, Boonville, and East Webster. So that's 4 total games. Why it's only 4? Well, we have our championship tally. South half champions adding the Petal Panthers to the list. 7A champions tonight, taking down Oxford in a very close match. I know the score won't tell the complete story, but Oxford was making a rally at the end. It got real close. That's why I was almost like, can we hold off the broadcast for 2 minutes so I can see the ending of this game? But the game wrapped up, and Oxford did fall short, unfortunately. But a hard-fought season from the Oxford Chargers, and a great chance to go back next year and potentially win that title and have that redemption story. But Moorville and Saltillo holding down the fort here in North half. So still 2-1. We're holding the lead, but we need some wins tomorrow in order to take that series against the South half. A little in-state rivalry, but a little fun added to it. But I appreciate all of you guys for tuning into our sports action. I like to dabble a little bit in there, as well as, check the weather forecast. That's why we wanted to focus on that, and then mix in sports at the end. So appreciate you guys. And if you want to see that forecast one more time, you can see right there on the full screen that you are looking at rain chances for those Boonville and Pontotoc games. Even for East Webster, some isolated chances possible. Temperature-wise, still going to be a pretty mild forecast throughout the day. But either way, Friday. Hang on a second. Those rain chances are not right at all. I just caught that. Let's shift it. There we go. That's more like it. I do think Pontotoc's wrong at the end. Actually, it might not be. Rain chances clearing out on the back half of the day. There's your chances. So East Webster and Boonville dodging those showers. This makes so much more sense. I was sitting here looking at it like, dry for the first half of the day. There you go. There's your forecast. East Webster, 1 p.m., 80% chance. Those chances higher on the first half of the day. Boonville coming in at 60%. So either way, you're looking at the same percentages. And then Pontotoc more isolated in nature, hopefully getting those games going. But if there's a rain delay, then these games will be pushed back. And by the evening, we should at least get some baseball played. So we're going to continue to monitor that and update you guys on those finishes. And of course, keep you guys updated. So as we bring up the chat real quick, I want to make sure that we're going to answer any questions before we wrap up tonight. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Hey, Trey, appreciate you for joining tonight as well. Justin, we went over those storms on Saturday. Hopefully that did help with an explanation. And Marcellus, heading into tomorrow morning, I believe Caleb should be back, but if not, Matt will be there with him, probably there either way with that strong storm potential by the afternoon for at least, 1 or 2. But Bailey asking, non-severe tonight. You guys are good to go to sleep. Heading into tomorrow, though, our severe weather threat, it's there. It's just very limited. So go ahead and get that safety plan in place, but a lot of us not going to have to use it, and hopefully all of us not having to use it getting into tomorrow. We're going to monitor things here in the Room to Room Weather Center, so if anything does come up, we will keep you guys updated. But I appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Hope you guys did enjoy a little bit of that sports action. I always like to show off our North Mississippi teams. And as those sports wind down for the 25-26 season, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Download that app, iOS and Android today. The QR code's there on the bottom right and left of your screen. Like, subscribe, follow, download, all of those things on the social medias. And check out our socials if you want to submit any of those pictures, or go ahead and submit those pictures on the Mississippi Live Weather app. You saw at the start of the broadcast some of the pictures you guys submitted. Phenomenal job showcasing what was moving through North Mississippi. Continue to do that tomorrow as more storms are possible. Our next broadcast, 6:37 and 7:30. You heard Marcellus say it. Join him and join many others as we tune into those rain chances for our Friday, and yes, storm chances as well. So make sure to monitor that. Download the Mississippi Live Weather app to stay up to date, and have a fantastic Friday, and try your best to stay dry. We'll see you there.
How do you know if your roofer is actually telling you the truth or just trying to sell you something you don't need? I'm Chris with Absolute Restoration. When we come out, we don't tell you what's wrong. We show you with photos, videos, and documentation. You'll see exactly what we see so you can make your own decision. And we back our work with a 50-year warranty and a 25-year algae warranty. Plus, no cost upgrades with 0% financing and no payment for 6 months.